Right now, we are reaffirming that we as a city are against anti-Asian hate, because at that time, the city of Irvine, we were not aware of what was really happening in the city, and I think we are now. The incidence within Orange County has increased tenfold throughout the year since 2020. And it's important that we bring residents together in our efforts to create a radically inclusive and tolerant environment. And we value the contributions of our Asian community and our Asian American community here in the city. And what I'm really most proud of this particular resolution, that it was written in close collaboration with Asian American serving community-based organizations and various input from the community-based organizations and various stakeholders. So this resolution reflects what the community wants to see out of our city. So I'm really proud of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And then I'll ask my council colleagues if they have any comments.
The whereas, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The ninth whereas, I think it may be incomplete here. It says, whereas addressing anti-Asian sentiment requires collaboration with Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Muslim, Arab, and Pacific Islander communities to find long-term solutions to stop systemic racism, xenophobia, and violence in all our communities. And then goes on to the next whereas. I guess what troubles me about that whereas is a lot of us feel left out. My goodness, yes, collaboration with Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Muslim, but what about Christians, Jews, and Asian Americans themselves are not mentioned here. It's Pacific Islander only. So I guess what I'm looking for, unless you intended otherwise, Councilmember Kim, what I'm looking for here is a more inclusive listing or an all-inclusive listing. We all have to collaborate, not just some identified groups. I hope I'm right in my presumption that you're looking for a broader, more inclusive recital here.
Councilmember Agrin?
Yes.
Have
If Councilmember Kim could respond to that or others, then, you know, I haven't written a broader one, but if one is intended, for heaven's sakes, let's put it in.
Yeah, again, this was written in collaboration with several community-based organizations, and it was really highlighting and uplifting other communities of color that have suffered from oppression as well. And so that was the purpose of that. Thank you.
I see. Would you consider a broader construction? Caucasians are left out of it. You know, when you start talking about religion, Muslim, then you should definitely, in my mind, include Christians and Jews, both of whom have been subject to unspeakable hate crimes. I think of the synagogue in Pittsburgh, and obviously Christians of all denominations have been subjected to hate crimes at one time or another.
Vice Mayor Kim, would you like me to come back to you at a later time?
As I took a few minutes while people were testifying to jot out what I think would be so much more inclusive in this resolution, so that that clause, I think, could properly read, whereas addressing anti-Asian sentiment requires collaboration between and among all communities of goodwill to find long-term solutions to stop systemic racism, xenophobia, and violence in all our communities. That's what I would suggest as an alternative. Otherwise, I fear this is going to be seen as just advanced by some communities that have been targeted, while leaving out other communities that have been targeted. And I think a more all-inclusive reference about our working together, collaborating between and among all groups would be helpful. Would you consider that substitute, Councilmember Kim?
I will not at this point, because this was written in collaboration with community members. So I am not in a position to change this right now. It was very intentional. The framework was intentional. It highlighting marginalized communities and communities of color who've suffered from oppression. And so I'm not in a position to make those changes. Thank you.
All right, well, regretfully, you've listed some who are victims of oppression, but not others, many others.